Hello everybody, and welcome to Crafty Hour number 69. I hope you guys loved this kit. This is the beautiful Kaleidoscope collection from 49 and Market. And I'm trying to remember, was it Jen that did it this morning? I've slept since then. Beautiful cards this morning for Clipper Street. They had some fun interactives. So I hope you guys got a chance to go watch. If you did not, remember you can always catch these on replay. Both of our stores have a YouTube channel, so you can go back and rewatch those on YouTube. Yes, it was Jennifer this morning. She did beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cards. So we're going to do 2 cards tonight. And I'm going to do a little bit different. So what I'm kind of going to do is give you my thought process. I love looking at Deanna's cards. Deanna has beautiful cards with all of her layers and all of her designs. And I'm like, I don't know how she does it. How does she break it down? And I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity to kind of do the same thing, but tell you my thought process or how I design some of the stuff that I design. Like how do I come up with certain things, or how do I come up with certain pieces? So that's what we're going to do with this Crafty Hour. So that's why I told you to grab things from your stash for homework, which were these guys. They were the 2 longer acetate pieces, the 2 taller acetate pieces, the pink ticket stubs, the pink kind of little ticket here, and this green leaf, and a hummingbird. Okay, so that's what I grabbed from the kit, and that's what was your homework, to kind of grab those items. So that's what we're going to play with. I do think one thing I might have forgot to tell you guys was to grab a card base, or AKA a card front. So what I used was black. So if you guys need to grab a piece of black cardstock really quick, grab a black piece of cardstock, and that will be our card front, or you can use it for your card base. Hi Jennifer, there she is right there. Loved your Crafty Hour this morning. Super, super cute. Fun interactives with little pockets. Adorable. So much fun. There was so much stuff in this kit, guys. I am telling you, we gave you a fabulous pack. We jam-packed it. So when I designed mine, what I wanted to do was touch at least one item. Oh, there's one more thing. One more thing here, guys. I wanted to touch for my Crafty Hour at least one item from every package, and I succeeded. We did that. So in addition to the items I told you to grab for homework, I also want you to have all these packs on hand, because I'm going to walk you through the thought process of designing, of how I did these or how I did it. So have these packs on hand. We will come to them and we will pull some pieces out of them. So just have those on hand. Have them sitting to the side, and we'll kind of get to them in a little bit later. But I'm going to walk you through my thought process. So when, here's our 2 cards we're going to do. So when I get a pack of paper, what I usually do is I open the pack of paper and I split it. I split it with my, and you can look at your A sides, you can look at your B sides, you can look at whatever you want. But what I usually do is I go through and I split my favorites, or I go through and look at the busies. So on these, I knew I was going to make cards. So a lot of these sides were really big and busy. And I thought I kind of want to go more to the solids, but what I usually do is I make 2 piles. I'm like, okay, this one's my favorite. This one's, I love that one. I love that one. Not a fan of that one, but the back side's good. So I like the back side. Love this one. Not sure what I would do with it, but I go through and kind of split my favorites, and then I go from there. So once I've got my favorites, and I went through the pack to pick my favorites, and I think Jennifer used one of these too. These 2 pieces of paper were my favorite out of the entire pack, because when I was thinking of designing and using them, I thought there's a lot of laser cuts in here. There's a lot of ephemera. There's a lot of bits and pieces. So it's going to get busy real fast, real fast. So if I try to use this, my laser cuts, they're going to get lost. If I try to use some of these, they'll work, but by the time you cut it down to a card front, you don't have a lot left to use for lasers. So since there were so many ephemera and so many pieces in here, I wanted something that was a little bit calmer and not as busy, so our laser cuts and things would show up. So these two were my favorite pieces. So these are the two I picked. Once I picked these, I'm like, okay, well now we have to have a layer underneath it. I could do gold shimmer foil. I could do silver foil. I could do black. There's a lot of stuff that would make these pop. But I grabbed my Crafty Hour kit. I took it camping with me, and I didn't bring any foils. So I'm like, well, there goes that idea, because I don't have any with me. So I thought, you know what? There are some beautiful solids on the back of these. So my second layer is going to be one of those beautiful solids. So I went through the pack and flipped them all over to the B side. And then I'm like, okay, what shows the best? I'm like, that looks okay, but nah. This I loved because it seemed like it made the pink and these colors pop. So I'm like, okay, that's layer number 2. Did the same thing with this. I auditioned. I went through and I'm like, ooh, no, that is too much. I'm like, well, there's some coral in here, and I think there was a coral in here somewhere, and I don't know where it is right now, but I put the coral with it. I'm like, nope, it gets lost, not enough. And I put this teal with it, and I'm like, that's our winner. That's our winner right there, guys. So I always start with the papers. I always start with the papers first, and then build up from there, because I find that's the easiest. If you start with an embellishment and try working backwards, the brain just doesn't work that way. So we're going to start with our paper. Then we go to our layer. And then I'm like, it has to have another layer. I thought, this is gorgeous, but how gorgeous is it to put a black with it, right? And then that just makes it pop. It is. It's auditioning it. You're sampling them out. You're seeing which one you like. You're seeing which one's the winner. So I auditioned my paper. Okay, so those are the two. These were my winners. These were my winners. Then I thought, I need another paper in here, but I don't want it to be too busy, but I need a little something, something. And I came up with this because I love random scripts. I love random music notes. I love random prints. And this is that randomness to it. It has the pink splats in it, the green splats. It matched. So these were my winners. This is what I started with. I started with the paper. Okay. What I did, and I'm going to do this on both cards, and we're going to do it both kind of at the same time, is I wanted to have a similar design and show you guys how to take a similar, simple design and make it look different on 2 different cards. So you're going to see we have 1, 2, 3 layers, and then we have scrap pieces of paper back here, and we'll get to that in a moment, and same scrap pieces of here. So the bottom 3 layers of these 2 cards are identical, but they look completely different by adding different ephemeras and going horizontal or going vertical. You can switch it up, guys. Switch it up. So that's what we're going to do. So grab your papers. And like I said, I apologize if I forgot to tell you to grab a piece of black paper, but you're going to need a piece of black paper. So it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is an A2 card size. What we're going to do, since I use black, what I usually do is make a card front, and then I will put this on a piece of white cardstock. That way you guys can write on the inside of it. You could make it black and then just mat a piece of white inside of it. That absolutely works too. And then you have places to put your texture. But I'm just doing card fronts, and then I can add my card base later. Okay? All right. So what we're going to start with is our 2 solids. Our 2 solids. So these are 6 by 8 pieces of paper. I love 6 by 8 pieces of paper for card making because you can get 2 cards out of it. A 6 by 6, you get one card and a weird scrap. An 8x8, you get one card and a huge weird scrap. So with a 6x8, if you flip it, you're going to see you're going to get 1, 2 pretty much out of a card base. Okay, 2 out of a card base. So what we're going to do is cut both of these. They're going to be both the same because this is going to be what I call layer 1 in my instructions. So layer 1 is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, and remember our piece of paper is 8 inches. So we're going to go in and we're going to cut the 4 first. Okay, I always cut where I have the least amount of scraps first is what I always do. So we're going to cut our 4. This guy we're not going to use. Throw him to the side for another project. Then we're going to flip it to 5 1/4. Okay, 5 1/4. Then we end up with this scrap. Anytime I have a small scrap, I always throw it in a pile because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but we might come back to it, and we will. So whenever I have a big scrap, it gets thrown back into the pile for designing. When I end up with a little scrap, it gets thrown in a pile because I haven't committed it yet. It is too big for the trash, but too small for another card. So it gets thrown in the questionable pile. So he's in the questionable pile. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with that teal piece. This is layer 1. So we're going to flip it sideways. We're going to cut it at 4 inches. This goes back in the pile for another card to design with. This one's going to get flipped. And we're going to go 5 1/4. Okay, 5 1/4. And then this goes back in the, you're small enough that you're going to have a good use sometime, but I'm not sure where. So now what we have is basically 2 cards. We're doing 2 simultaneously. And you're going to look and you're going to have a little bit of black all the way around it. Now, I know sometimes we like to do the 1/8 of an inches and the 1/16 of an inches, and that gives you just a little hair, which is great. But sometimes not everybody likes counting the 1/8 and the tick marks. So if you're doing a card and you want easy measurements, I always go down 1/4 of an inch. So I have 4 1/4, then I go down to 4, then I go down to 3 1/4. Same thing on my other side. 5 1/2. I go down to 5 1/4. I go down to 5 inches. So if you go down 1/4 of an inch each time, and if you have the Spellbinders trimmer, which I absolutely love, each one of these lines right here is 1/4 of an inch. So you just go down a rectangle. I was going to say square, but it's not really square. You go down a line for each measurement, and that will give you your quarters. So that way it's easy math. You don't have to count the little tick marks. Okay, is everybody with me still? Okay, everybody's still with us. Okay, then we're grabbing these 2 pieces of paper. These are the 2 we're going to play with. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing. Now we're on layer 2. Layer 2. So we're doing 3 3/4. Okay, so 3 3/4. We're going to cut it. This guy is big enough for another project. Put him to the side. He's going to be something else. Okay, something else. We're going to flip this. When I looked at this piece of paper, because we have to cut it off, I decided to cut off the teal because it had the most of that design up there. If I cut down here, I was going to lose a lot of that coloring, and then that left me mostly with teal. So we're going to cut off the teal edge, okay? And we're going to cut it at 5 inches, okay? 5 inches, okay? And then this guy, yep, you guessed it. He's going in that fun pile. He's going to go over there in that fun pile, okay? And then we're going to do the same thing, and then this goes over on top of the pink. We're going to do the same thing with this guy, okay? So we're going to put him in the trimmer sideways, and he's going to be 3 3/4. 3 3/4. Throw this in a pile for another project. Trying to figure out where I cut from the paper. Oh, that one I cut that way. It's okay. 3 3/4. Okay, so this one, because again, we have more teal than we have this, we're going to cut off the teal edge. Okay, so we're going to 5 inches. 5 inches. And then this guy, you guessed it, he's going in that discard pile. So now we have our base, our layer 1, layer 2, our base, layer 1, layer 2. What I love about the 49 and Market paper, it is really, really heavy. So I'm going to use this. This is a distressor. Tim Holtz also has the little round guy, and I had one on my table here somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure where it went. But we're going to distress. We're going to leave the black the way it is, and we are going to distress these 4 pieces of paper we just cut. The 49 and Market paper is really nice and thick, so this works nice. And all I'm doing is just scraping it along, and see how it just kind of roughs up that edge a little bit. Now, sometimes when you're doing thinner papers, it really takes what I call bite out of crime. It takes a chunk out of it, which sometimes is cute. It takes a little chunk, you just distress it, you go with it. That is cute also. So we're just going to rough it up a little bit because this really thick paper roughs up really nice. And to me, it just kind of gives it a nice finished edge, which is also why I ink the edges of things. So I ink the edges of things to kind of give it a finished edge so it stands out. But this is something else you can do if you get tired of inking and you don't want to have to ink all those edges. This is great. You can just distress it. And it basically is just a straight blade, and it's roughing it up. And like I said, there is a little round. This is the one by Sizzix. It's their little tool-in-one that I really like. But Tim Holtz also has the little round one that you hold in your hand, and it looks like this, but all the way circle. It's a great little distressor too. And then I think we also carry one by Tonic. So there's quite a few different versions of kind of that distressor. Oh, and my matte silicone, so everything's going to stick to it. So there's those guys. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other pieces. Same thing. Everybody with me still? We're still going good? Okay, I hope you guys are getting some ideas and some hints and tricks here. I love to teach. I love to teach crafting and paper crafting and share tips, tricks, techniques. Some stuff you might already know. Some stuff it might be an aha moment. So I thought I would just kind of step out my process here. And some of you might be like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I'm going to do that. And some of you might think, nope, makes no sense at all. I'm going to do my own thing, which is absolutely fine too. I just thought I would show you my design process and then show you how a simple start and layer or blueprint could be exactly the same on 2 cards, but look completely different because you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Okay, so the one that has the green on it is going to go on the pink, and I am just going to glue this one on. Oop, got some glue boogers. Let me get those off. I'm just going to glue this flat. Okay, just going to glue that one flat. And I know the back side of this is beautiful, but in your paper pack, you've got, I think 2, maybe 3, at least 2 of all the pieces of paper. So you can use that beautiful side on the other side on something else. Okay, so there's that one. We're going to do the same thing over here. We're just going to glue these 2 pieces together. And doesn't that edge just look fun? It's just very fun. How are we doing on time? We are doing good. Okay, perfect. Okay, so there's those. So there we have those pieces. Now, what I did is I'm going to put foam on the back of both of these, and I'm just doing low foam. So that is the scrapbook adhesive. That's the one I call the 108. The 108. We're just going to put low foam on the back of these. And then it's just going to stand out against that black cardstock that we've got there. And we're going to do the same thing to both cards. And we're just going to center that on there. And I know it's probably a little hard to see because I'm on a black mat, but there's your black, okay? And that's base number 1. Then we're going to do the same thing to the other one. Okay, how's everybody doing? Are we doing good? Okay, so once we got to this point in kind of the designing, I pick which is my top, which is my bottom. I kind of like it like that. I like the more solid at the top. I liked the teal on this one. And this is kind of what we went with. Then at this point, sometimes this is where I'm like, I have these scrap pieces of paper laying over here and they cannot go to waste. I could do something like that along the bottom. Let's see, that one went with this one went with that one. I could do a border on the bottom. I could do something fun up the side. So this is when I start playing with my scraps sometimes. And I'm going to put them in this order. And this is what I came up with. I was like, okay, I like what we're doing here. Let's layer some scraps. Let's layer them in because they're just scraps. So this is the A side of that one. Nope, I don't like that side, so we're going to do that. This brings that back in. There's the B side. Ooh, that one's kind of pretty. We could go with the B side. We could go with the A side. I think I kind of like the B side. And then I'm like, okay, this is too similar. It needs something else. What does it need? It needs my random script that I picked. My random script. So I was like, okay, let's see what our measurements are here because we already have scraps pre-cut for us, guys. We already have it. So why not use what is there and just make it match? So this one is 3/4 of an inch. That one's an inch. You can do them different sizes, but I'm like, I kind of like them the same size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a strip that is 3/4 of an inch. So put my trimmer in here, and that is not 3/4 of an inch. Let's try again. 3/4 of an inch. So we have another scrap. I love it. So it's 3/4 of an inch by 4. Okay, 3/4 of an inch by 4. And looky there, I got 2 scraps at the same time that we can use. So there's my scraps. So you can kind of, this little font kind of breaks this up. I'm like, ooh, I really like that, but that one piece is a little bit bigger. Do I like it bigger? Do I not like it bigger? It doesn't matter. We're just kind of using our scraps and we're just kind of layering them in, but I want them to be the same size, okay? So we're going to go in and this scrap is going to be 3/4 of an inch. I am just going to chop off a little on the width. So they are all 3/4 of an inch wide. Now, they're going to be different lengths. That's okay, because you know what? They are scraps. And we are just going to layer them in. So here's all of our pieces so far. Now that we're staring at these pieces, I'm like, they need to be roughed up like the other pieces, because they need to match, right? So I'm just going to take my tool, and we're just going to distress it up, okay? We're going to distress it. And remember, I said I wanted to touch every package. So all these laser cuts that we have, the rub-ons, the ephemera, I wanted to touch all the packs and at least one item in each one, one item in each one. So that is what we're going to do. And then I also kind of wanted to get creative because there is different ways to use these laser cuts other than the way they're intended for. Okay, so we're just going to kind of rough these up and we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, we're just going to rough them up. Okay, rough it, rough it. Okay, those pieces are roughed. We're going to go over here and do the same thing over here. We're going to rough these up. My ruler out of the way. And there's no right or wrong to this. If you want to ink yours, by all means, ink it up. A gray would be really pretty, like the hickory smoke would be pretty. And then, of course, 49 and Market released a 15 color ink pads today. How beautiful were they? To coordinate and match with all of their paper collections. And I did hear Janine say in the announcement that they're working on colors to match their next releases. So there's going to be more ink pads, guys. So make sure to watch Janine's live from this morning. She really told you all about them, everything you can do with them. And both stores have them in stock, and we are offering bundle deals on the ink pads and the re-inkers if you do an I Want It All. So make sure to contact your home store to get those. Okay, so now what I did is I just went in and I layered it in. I put that kind of high. I put this one kind of low. I took that one and stair-stepped it. So I'm just layering them in. That's all there is to it. So not a whole lot. But I'm not going to glue those yet because on this one I kind of had a fun idea. And I thought, you know what? I love these laser cuts. And I thought, what if we peekaboo this guy out of the corner? And I was like, well, that's pretty, but what if we use it in a non-traditional way? I flipped this guy over, and I'm like, okay, my scraps are going to go here, there, and there. I love what I have going. Where can I lay our scraps in? And I kind of want this guy peekabooing, but that green just did not do it for me. And you know what? I thought, we're going to use this guy as a mask. So you don't always have to use your ephemera as ephemera. And I'm using the metallic ink pads by Lisa Horton. If you don't have that, use whatever you got, guys. You do not have to have exactly what I have. I just had this on hand and thought it was really pretty color, and it mixed really nice with the collection. So what we're going to do is I just laid the ephemera down, and we're going to use it like a mask, and we're going to ink around it. Okay, we're going to ink around it. And like I said, I'm just using the Lisa Horton. You could use Distress ink. The Salty Ocean would be nice. You could use whatever you have. If you have a green that matches, if you have a pink that matches, it doesn't have to be perfect because this is a layer, guys. It's a layer. It is not going to be predominant. It's not going to stand out. It is a layer. So then when we pull that back, I need a little bit more here. Kind of gets lost. When you pull it back, you're going to have that really cool leaf texture. And you can still use this die cut because we did the inking on the back side. So the front side is still gorgeous. You can still use that. Now I have a harsh line right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and bring that out. So I'm just going around. I'm just taking a blending brush and I'm just going out and bringing the harsh line out so it's more faded into the background. Okay, isn't that fun? Something else I did, and I did it on my sample, and then I switched gears. I had lots of fun playing with these, but something else I did, and you'll see it right here in the packaging, is when I originally did it, I wanted the leaf to be predominant. So that is the trash part of where this leaf came out, okay? I punched that out. That is the trash part. I laid that down, and then I rubbed my blending tool on it, and I made a blue leaf onto my card. But since I was layering it, I decided I was going to do the opposite and use it more like a mask. So that's what I did there. It's just a layer, and it's blending really nice with that background, and it's another way to use your laser cuts and the trash from your laser cuts. Okay, so now we're going to glue these guys down because we have our background kind of inked up. Fun ways to use your laser cuts, fun ways to use the trash from your laser cuts, right? Okay, so we're just going to glue these guys down. Just gluing them on. Put my block on there. Okay, so just liquid glue. If you want to pop these, by all means, feel free to pop them. I'm just using my liquid, and we're just staggering them, okay? We're just staggering it, and again, we're going to kind of cover a little bit of that background because it's a background, okay? It's a background. So we're going to let that dry for a sec, and then here's what we kind of have going on, okay? Now, we're going to do the same thing. Like I said, we're kind of doing both cards at the same time, so I'm going to scoochie this one over while it dries. This one, I didn't do any of the stenciling or inking on. If you want to do that, by all means, do it. But we're going to do the same kind of layered backgrounds. We are going to glue them on, and we're just going to layer it. Oops. I didn't put enough glue on these things. I think my glue guy's about dead, about empty. Okay, use more glue. How's everybody doing? Is this making sense? Kind of the process? Looks like we're doing good on time too. Like I said, we're kind of designing two cards at the same time. We're just kind of doing a rinse and repeat. Doing two at the same time. Another color that I thought looked good was Mojito. And these are a metallic premium ink pad. So they're nice and juicy. Really nice and juicy. Okay, so we have those done. That's where we're at so far. We've got our backgrounds, we have our two layers, we have our strips of paper. So right now they look pretty similar, but different backgrounds. And we added a stencil or mask to that one. We kind of switched it up a little bit. Okay. Then what we're going to do is I came in with these acetate pieces. And I'm like, gosh, I really like these acetate pieces. And I want to work them in. So we have to do our layers. And what I did with that is I'm like, ooh, one's going to look good going across. Now on mine, first one, I use black. If you want to use black, by all means, use the black one. I already used my black, so this one I'm going to use my teal because I auditioned it and I like that one better than the pink. Okay, so we're going to put that on there. Then same thing, I'm like, well, we're going horizontal here. Let's go vertical on this one. Let's switch it up a little bit. So we have, again, use the black one if you want to use the black one. I'm going to switch it up. I really like the teal with it. So I'm going to use the teal. I'm a teal girl. You know it. Okay, so I love those. I love how that's kind of going. And I love fibers. So this is where I was like, I want to add some cheesecloth. But when you're adding the cheesecloth, it's tricky to glue down. So it kind of has to be under some layers in order for it to stay down, to stick. So I'm just cutting a square. Cutting a square of cheesecloth. And we'll see how many pieces I got here. 1, 2, 3. Is there 4? Which is perfect because that's what I needed. 4 pieces, 4 squares. And I always, the hint I was given is to pull a little bit off of each side to kind of fray it so it's not so square, and then pull on the corners. Pull on the corners. So I liked that. So I wanted to peekaboo some, whoops. I wanted to put some up here. And then I wanted some coming out of the bottom. Okay, so whatever I kind of do at one corner, I always kind of do at another corner. So it's kind of opposite. So I like that. So I had some coming out of the top, some coming out of the bottom. I liked what we were going with there. So I'm going to glue it down. To glue down the cheesecloth, all I did on here was put a big dollop there, and that's going to hold it. And then I put a big dollop here. And that's going to hold it. Then I'm just putting, oops, I got dog hair and everything else on here. I just put a bunch right in the center because a lot of your embellishments are going to be on top of this, and you're not even going to see the adhesive. But the Nuvo glue does dry clear, and we'll just put that on and let it dry. So I had it going that way. Now I wanted to do this one going that way, and I thought, let's mimic the same thing. So let's put some cheesecloth maybe up here in the top corner, and let's put some down in the bottom corner. Okay, so kind of mimicking what we had going on the other one, but this time we're going the other direction. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so again, we got to hide the adhesive and just get it to stay. So I just put a big old dollop, and it's going to hold that corner of cheese. And then we're going to put another big dollop there, like a dollop of daisy. I know it was in your guys' head. You were thinking it. And then same thing, just put a bunch of liquid on here. And this stuff dries clear. You're not going to see it. Okay? And then we'll just put that down there. Okay, so now we have our acetate pieces. 2 similar cards, 2 similar designs. One went vertical, one went horizontal, kind of kept with the same palette of the cheesecloth. Okay? Not fun? Okay, so then is where we start bringing in our scraps and our other pieces and our ephemera. So my first ephemera piece I used was this guy right here, because I thought I have something going here across the card. I need something else to kind of ground it. And I liked that right there. I thought that looked like what I wanted. So I'm going to pop that, and I'm just going to put pops right along the bottom of it. You could glue it flat if you wanted to, but I found it a little challenging to have it flat with all these layers over here. So we're just going to put some pops on it. And then I'm just layering that so it's overlapping. It's kind of touching. It's not floating, but it's overlapping the acetate. Okay? And then over here, I thought, okay, we have something going here. Now we need to have something to break this up. We've got something going vertical. We have something going horizontal. We've got a lot of vertical. Now we need something horizontal. So that's where I took this ticket stub. And we're going to add some glue to it. And I thought we got to have something horizontal now to kind of break it up. And I just kind of layered them in under there. Kind of breaks it up. It gives you another angle. And when I do stuff, I do it straight. Straight vertical, straight horizontal. I don't do it at a weird angle. If you do weird angles like this, it's not appealing to the eye. And sometimes it looks inappropriately shaped things. So Dina still reminds Deanna and I about the class we took. So do them straight. Straight vertical, straight horizontal. Okay? Okay, how's everybody doing? Is it kind of making sense? Clear as mud? Got it. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at our design process. I like the backgrounds. We have our backgrounds. We have our layers. And now what we need is the ephemera. This is where we need to start pulling in ephemera and start pulling in bits and pieces. So we're going to dig in the large ephemera pack. Okay, the large ephemera. And this is where we're going to do some auditioning. This piece, if you want to use this piece, by all means, use that same piece I used. I'm going to use something different because I'm going to go kind of with the same idea as I want something to kind of go vertical with my card. Okay, I want something vertical. So let's see what we have in our kit. Oops, something just popped out. That little guy popped out, but I don't think, nope, he's not going to work. He said use me. He fell out, but we're not going to use him. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through our packs and try to find something. And again, you can use the same one I used on my starter card, but I'm going to switch it up. And I kind of like this guy. He's going up the card. And I feel like that would probably fill that space. This here would kind of fill that space too. Both are great. Let's punch them both out and see which one we like best. And I gotta be a little careful with these guys because they just rip. They're so dainty. So this guy, you know, I think I kind of like that. That might be our winner right there. Because then I have room to put my sentiment and stuff. If I do this one, I don't have room. That's the one we're doing. I love it. Okay. Again, use the other bird if you want to use the other bird. He is right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop these guys. And I'm trying to look if I use my micros. Some spots you're going to have to use your micros. And then some spots you can use your, are these quarters? I think these are quarters. And just cut them in half. Oh, thank you so much, Becca. Thank you, thank you. Oops, we're going to have some tulle right there. Okay, that should be enough pops, and we are going to pop that guy on. Kind of get him going in the pattern that it's going to match, kind of with those scraps that we put there. Okay, so we're going to kind of run him, and we're just going to overlap them. Again, we're going to overlap our card, and we're just going to pop them, and I love it. I love it. I'm going to put a little bit of liquid right there just to kind of hold that. So that is touching our large laser cuts. Our small laser cuts, I might have pulled some embellishments. I pulled birds or something out of those. I know I did the small ones too. So there's that guy. Then that's our large ones. So then I wanted to touch some of the chipboard. We had to touch some chipboard. In the chipboard, there were these hearts. I absolutely loved this. This is where we make a mess now, guys. I love these hearts. They were really fun. And again, they just kind of match the paper. You can kind of mix them in. I kind of like stacking a small one and a larger one together. That looked super cute. But there's lots of chipboard, and I'm not sure, I didn't read the instructions, if these are peel and stick chipboard or not. I couldn't get them. I can't ever get the ones that are peel and stick to actually peel, so I always just glue mine down. Let's see, I want 2 different size hearts. I don't want them to be the same size. Okay, I love that one. And there was a smaller one. That one there. I love the smaller. Okay, so can you kind of see how all the layers are kind of starting to come together? Everything's coming together. There's the chipboard. Then we have to put a word on here. Believe. I like how I had the word kind of sitting on here. It just sits really nice. And you know what? I might leave the words off so that way we can make it to the other card. I want to make sure we make it to the other card. But put your words on there. These are chipboard. I just glued it on the Forever All My Heart. All these guys is all you're going to do. You're going to pick one. You're going to glue it on there. And then you're going to pick your other one. And you can either pop it or glue it on there. Okay, so there's that. You'll put your words. But one more thing we have to touch. We haven't touched the rub-ons yet. And I absolutely love rub-ons. These rub-ons are amazing because they come off like butter. Butter. And you can literally cut them apart, use them in bits and pieces. I'm going to go down here in this green area. And I am just going to chunk some out. I'm just chunking it out. I am going to cut off the label because the label is actually a rub-on. And I don't want Katie Petite on my project. I mean, sometimes maybe you want it, but I don't want Katie's name on the project. So we're just going to chop the rub-ons. And what is fascinating about these rub-ons is they work over layers. So you can, let me see how I want to position this. I think I kind of want to do it just like that. Yeah. They work over layers, guys. So I'm laying this on here. I don't know if you can see it, but I have it overlapping my papers. So I've got it on the high layers. I've got it on the low layers. I've got it on the 3 layers. And what we're going to do is just rub it, okay? And look at that. See how it sticks really nice and it goes on those different layers and kind of overlaps them. And I'm just going to rub it with my finger there. Okay, and then I still have a little bit of blotchy, inky splotty. Nothing goes to waste. So I'm going to put him down here and just rub them on. Oops. Sorry, little guy. Nothing goes to waste. I just keep laying and rubbing, laying and rubbing. And look at that. Look how fun the rub-ons are on the different layers. And super easy to use. They come off like butter, guys. Okay, so I, again, put something in the top left. I need something to match down here in the bottom right. So I'm going to chop, again, some of this rub-on. And the reason I chop them is if you lay the whole sheet down at once and try rubbing it, sometimes you get bits and pieces rubbed off that you didn't want to stick, because they do come off the packaging so easily. So that's why I kind of chopped the pieces I want to use. Okay. And there you go. There is your rubbed on piece. Is that not fabulous? You know what? I think we have time to finish this out. We have time to finish it out. So let's find a sentiment and put on there. Enjoy. Oh, I think I'm just going to put enjoy. I love it. I'm not going to put the other little word with it because I think enjoy just says it all. I don't think it needs anything else. Okay, so there is card number 1. We touched acetates, rub-ons, we did some masking, we used the paper, we used the chipboard, we used the acetates, we touched a little bit of everything. So there is, and I will take pictures of these and post them on our Facebook page, and also post them in the Scoop group after I eat dinner on those. So you will have all the different versions that you can see those. And then don't forget, you can always get the videos on replay on our YouTube channel too, and on Facebook. So there's those 2 cards. Then we're going to come in. Boy, does anybody else make this big of a mess when they craft? Just dump everything out. We're going to come back to this guy. Okay. So now that we have this guy, we need to find something to go here. So we've got this piece here, and I need something to go this way. I need some, and you know what? That piece that fell out a while ago? Nope. Nope, that's not going to work. We need something going. We have our vertical. We need something to go horizontal. But we don't necessarily want to cover the whole card. So let's see what's left in our lasers that could go that direction. And again, if you want to use those flowers that I used, by all means, use those flowers. Oops. I might not have anything vertically. Decisions. I might have to go back to that guy that jumped out. Are these double-sided? Oh, these are not double-sided. Okay, the new ones are double-sided. Okay, so maybe we just build him in there and go with that. I need something that's in that corner. Maybe we go with that. Maybe there's something in, is there something in the smaller laser cuts? Ooh, there might be something in the smaller laser cuts. Let's see what's over here. Pulled out all the pieces Jennifer used because I didn't want to double up and use those. This is kind of like a mini version of everything, isn't it? Okay, we're going with this guy for time being. I don't want to waste time. So this guy, where did our pops go? We're going to pop him. And you know what? We could add some other pieces in there. But you know what? What we're going to do first is we're going to add some rub-ons to kind of fill this area right here. We need something to go in here. So let's go into, we still have these green rub-ons. Let's finish out the green rub-ons. Cut off the packaging. Don't need that. I'm going to cut it in half. So we're going to put something at the top and something at the bottom. And you can always kind of tuck them in. Under things. Okay, where'd my rub-on tool go? Okay, there's some rub-on up there. And I feel like it has a harsh finished line right there. So we're going to take the scrap of the other one. There we go. No, and they do stick to your fingers. Good luck getting them off. And they do stick to your nails. So if you want some nail art, totally use those. Okay, so there's our rub-on kind of in the corner. We're going to add some rub-on down here because we had it in the top. We're going to have some down on the bottom. Okay, got that. Now where did, this is where we're starting to get a mess. That guy is going to go beautifully there. And you know what? I still have this green leaf laying on my table from before. Nope, too much. Okay, so we're going to put this guy in here and we're just going to kind of overlap everything. Put some pops on him. Ooh. Okay, so we're going to peel the backing off of those. And then we're going to lay him in, and we're going to go back to our embellishments and look for one thing. Okay, there we go. So originally I had this acetate guy pulled out, and he's going to be too big for that. So let's go back to our acetate and see if there's something smaller for that. And you know what? I'm going to add those two hearts because I like those, and they were just laying. Oh, actually, no, I did a rub-on. That's okay. We did rub-ons on the other part. We have a big white space up there that needs something. So let's just add those little hearts. And sometimes that's how I design. Something is laying on my table, and I'm like, oh, let's see what that looks like there, and glue that there. And sometimes that is how the magic happens. Okay, let's see what, oh, I think I see a smaller hummingbird right there. Ha, he is perfect. There's a smaller hummingbird right there. So I'm going to add him. What I did is I'm just going to add liquid glue, glob it right on his little tail. and I'm going to put him pointing into the flower, and I'm just going to hold it, and it will glue his little bottom right there. Okay, and then there's one more thing we're going to add. One more. Okay, isn't that fun? Got the cute layers. We got our embellishments. I love the stitching. I thought all this stitching on here was really, really fun. And I'm going to use a piece of it. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to cut this blue piece right here. It's at the bottom. Okay, right there at the bottom, blue piece. I'm going to cut it in half. Okay, so part of it, I love to do things in the corners. Things in the corners are really nice. So part of it is going to go right there. See, you can even rub them with your finger. They are that great. And then the next one, probably shouldn't have glued that heart down yet, but it is down. So what I'm going to do is just rub it up to the heart. And I'm going to lift. I'm going to go to the other side of the heart and rub. So therefore, we kind of have some stitching in the corner. And here's the other version. Okay? And I'll probably go in and I can add another sentiment over there. Like hello happiness. That might be cute right there and kind of pop it up. Or you can leave the sentiment off. It's whatever you want to do. There's tons of chipboard sentiments in there, which is amazing. So there is the second version. So that's my crafty hour tonight, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me. I hope you love the thought process and kind of how my brain works sometimes in designing and gives you some ideas on where to get started when you're just staring at a blank canvas. So thank you so much for joining us. We created the event already for the Crafty Hour number 71 reveal. Will be tomorrow at 11 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Pacific. We've created the event. Please tune in live. Deanna will show you the full kit reveal, which is fabulous. We saw this release back in June when we went to Craft Utopia Las Vegas and fell in love with it and said we have to do a crafty hour with it. There will also be tons of coordinating stamps, dies, washi tapes, and other ephemeras and stuff that will coordinate and match that collection. So make sure to tune in tomorrow and we will see you there. Have a great night, everybody. And as always, happy crafting. Bye-bye.